Hello everybody, welcome back to Farming Simulator 17 and Lone Oak Farms. We are almost done with our wheat harvest, so we'll crank up our combine once more. It'll figure out how much is left to do. We're in the field just below the lone oak tree, and we have a fair bit of straw to pick up as soon as we're done with harvest here. Let's go around and get all my equipment ready. I wonder if maybe I'm far enough. We don't have that much left. I'm just gonna get him going again, or her, whoever it is. Field 45 Winrow. Yep, I think that's it. Oh, one moment. I almost forgot. Let me go do my width adjust. Just a fuzz wider than normal, so I can make sure I clean up the whole path. Goes off at, there we go. According to my little weather helper tool, I have 3 hours 16 minutes before the rain hits, so hopefully that's enough time to get all the baling done and get the straw in before the rain hits. I have just a small little bit of harvesting left to do here. I'm picking up this episode on another day, and I know I am biased, but I'm just continually struck when I come in here how much it makes me think of the real-life farm. I know I don't have the most powerful computer in the world, so the render distance isn't great and all that jazz. But I'm kind of fond of this here map. And in some ways it's... Oh, you know what? I gotta get my offloader going, my overloader. Can't forget him. Let's see. He probably will feel the need to go to... Oh, what are you going over here for? Well, that's a little unusual. Don't know why he came all the way over here. That is horseplay for you. For all I know, the rest will fit in a single combine load. That I don't know. But maybe we can go offload this guy before finishing the job or sending him in to unload. There we go. Old trailer. It's interesting. Look at our combine here. He can see, or she, can tell there's additional grain down there. I think I've learned a lesson on this field. I'm still not sure how I'm going to use this in the future, but it's interesting to me that the auto combine mod is powerful enough to look and see where there's additional grain to harvest. But now what I'm curious is he going to back up the whole way? Now he's going to turn. I'd be curious to see if he ends up back in the grain or if we need to go manually move him. Let me get this guy going here, and we'll see if he can find his way to the storage. Yeah, look at him. He's kind of... he's peeling cookies in the field. He's going on a combine joyride now. I think I've seen it before where the combine will literally back up until it locates where the other patch was, but maybe it just isn't quite good enough. Folks, we are almost done with this field. And we'll be able to put our little combine away for the winter now that we have grass harvest out of the way, plus grain harvest just with the 3 fields that we have. So as soon as we're done here, I wonder if I need to swap out the tractor that's doing the raking for the smaller one, the one that's currently running the offloader trailer, and have the other one get going on the baler. Because it probably needs to be the more powerful of the two in order to handle the baler. Alright, you're just going to spin cookies again. Oh, he's almost out of sauce, too. Okay. Running out the unloading auger. I think Courseplay is making its... Oh, wait a minute. No, no, no. Courseplay is way down over here. Let me get him safely escorted off the field and out of the way of our diligent worker who's windrowing all these rows of straw in here. Let me hop to my guy, and we're just going to stop him and go pick it up ourselves. I guess I didn't realize how little we truly had left, but I guess that makes sense. So we're going to haul this in one more time. Hardly worth bringing it back out, but such it is. Alright, now will it go stop at next trigger. Alright, that's what we'll do. We're going to hop back in our combine. Oops. And it'll be time to put her away. Need to make some money. Maybe I need to borrow some money. As I recall, Bullet Build didn't cause the field prices to be too awful expensive, so maybe you could pick up some more ground. Maybe I can do that in another year, as I know I've been spending a lot of time showing pictures and explaining things on the real life farm as best I can. So, oh, interesting. You know, I asked the tractor to stop at the next... I'll just park him right there for the moment. Park at the trigger? Where's the trigger? Oh, you know what it is? I bet it's seeing the trigger for the fuel, since I'm kind of running it right by the fuel trigger. I guess, well, that's another lesson on Courseplay. It'll stop at any trigger you send it across. Who knew? Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. I'll maybe just drop that there and take this dude out and swap him out for the fella doing all the windrowing. I think this will pull it. I can't really remember. I just want to make sure with 3 hours. I should have plenty of time, but I don't know. Alright, let me see if I can get... This is 45 windrow. Make sure I'm in the proper mode. We're just going to head across country here and do a little swapperoo. And I'll see if I can get both of these guys working on the same field. And I think maybe it was the last video that I had where I showed some real-life footage of the windrowing and baling process kind of on a field next door to my personal home. So it isn't exactly Lone Oak, but it's kind of the same deal. And those guys, they figured out a way to habit or be in the same field at the same time. So let me just pull this one out. Oops. And we'll see if we can continue with the brand new tractor, and we'll see if it can pull the hill. Let's get all that going. Yes, sir, Bob. It's going to do that. You can see, too, also where this mod is working. It's grabbing a little bit of this other windrow over here to help grab it. We're going to do the same thing with the baler. So get back to our other tractor. That's what we're doing next. We're going to go pick up our baler, and we'll get him going on that. And that's another area too, and that's really, I think I talked about this mod previously. I don't remember anymore what I've talked about in here or whatnot, so apologies for any duplication. But just the ability to widen the intake of the baler, because in real life all that straw would kind of just fluff on in, even if it was a little bit wider than the baler's intake. So that's kind of how I'm going to set it up in the field too, so we can hopefully eliminate many of those little bits that linger in a field left over that force you to have to go back and do a lot of cleanup. We'll get out here, we'll get him going. You know, hopefully the other guy's far enough ahead. Let's now set up his... Okay. Is that too wide? I want to make sure he gets it on the corners. We aren't going to notice it really because the windrows are far enough apart, but I do want to make sure that as he turns corners, he'll pick up everything that's there. So I think we keep him on the same course. Oh yes, it wants us to unfold. Let's get it going. Yeah, so you'll see it take a bite out of this windrow over here just slightly. Let's get him going, drive course, and now we have two guys working the field. Looks like he's going 12 miles an hour. How fast does our windrow go? Oh, 14. Oh, this one is probably switching to back and forth by now. So, you know, yeah, I may want to slow the baler down because he's going to be putting obstacles in the way of our guy here as he begins his back and forth courses. Ooh, and I may need to give him some assistance. Well, let's see how smart he is. Hey now, look at that. Look at that. I think he found his way, folks. You know, when courseplay works, it works brilliantly. There's an example right there. A lot of times when you have a tight pinch in a field, you gotta do some, you have to help him out. Yeah, I see a problem. Okay, let's slow our guy down. Ideally, they'd be able to do this, but let's give him a breather and give this guy time to get a lot of this done. Fair enough. And probably all these things I'm doing here is anathema to anybody who doesn't like courseplay or prefers to do everything on their own. It's just my playing style. I just prefer to be able to do multiple things at once, as I tend to look at the farm more at a macro level versus any individual particular activity that happens to be going on. That's just me. But while he's doing this, and oh, now we got an autosave. while he's taking care of this, and it isn't going to take very long. Whew. I always get nervous with the autosave when it freezes my whole screen up. While he's doing that, I wanted to go back to show some pictures in the cleaner. I think the last we had left off, and I left this here for reference, we had talked through all of this. I showed some basic pictures of the warehouse, kind of as it was as of the time. I took a lot of pictures for Bullet Bill for reference pictures. I even took some inside here, although he ended up choosing not to put in the seed cleaning warehouse. But I was just getting to some of the pictures, and I wanted to show you some of those now of the equipment itself. I don't recall exactly where I left off. Maybe it was somewhere in here. Looking at this used to be their office up there. The since has moved over to the Hay building where they have the new shop in there. They've built a brand new office. We can see some pictures of that in a bit. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I already talked about this. That's an old piece of equipment up there. That's another one of the staircase. Shows a stencil on the pallets. This is how it would look many, many times over the years as I worked in the cleaner. They're stacking these a little bit higher per pallet, but I know when we did it, we typically did 6 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers. We would do 6 layers and we would stack the pallets 3 high. Perhaps they've changed their practice on this. Every now and again, we would have a stack of pallets that would lean or fall over. And if it leaned far enough, you couldn't hardly get the forks of the forklift into it. These looks to act pretty even, so we were always encouraged to do the best we could to keep a flat top whenever we had bags on there to do. And so it was just something we practiced over time. But this is very common what we would see. Actually, maybe not so much the decals or the colors on these particular bags. I'm not sure just what brands these are. It doesn't really matter. Occasionally they would have, a special contract of seed where the seed company would provide their own bags, kind of for brand identification or whatever. But a good lot of the time, it was just simple, plain white bags, that we would put in there. And I think you'll notice on the end of these, yeah, I'm not going to spell it out. I mean, it's kind of the code number for their warehouse. There's always a stencil we'd have to put on these bags. One identified the location, if you will, the number and the county of this particular seed warehouse, seed processing facility. I think, like I mentioned in a previous video, a lot of seed farmers have them. 17, I believe, is the particular year. So the year would always kind of be in the middle of the year the seed was grown and processed. And then I believe the last part was for a lot number. If you're a good sized farm, or even if you're not, we tended to have lots basically the size of whatever would fit in an 18-wheeler standard trailer van. I don't know if they still do that. You could have them smaller, you could have them greater. That's just kind of how I remember my uncles doing it, which tended to be around 45,000 pounds. And I'm sorry, I don't have a conversion to kilograms for all that. But that's about the size that it would be, just enough to fill up a truck. And one of the jobs of the seed clean operator was to stencil all these bags. So, look at my hands, and they've handled those blacking brushes a fair amount. Just one more thing to fit into the mix of stuff you need to do in the cleaner. Let me check out my windrower. He's doing great. So we'll go back to here. Okay, now this is looking into the cleaner. It's as if we're standing right here and we're looking this direction. And the bagger unit is sitting kind of right about here. Don't really have it identified, but that's kind of what we're looking at. So the clean seed ends up in this hopper here. after it passes through these other machines over here. The storage, the bin storage is all back here behind us, not shown in the picture, of course. It'd be the warehouse. This is the edge of the forklift. Um, the seed cleaning machine itself is depicted over here. I believe this one is a Sage. Anywhere you see these blue things, columns, if you will, columns of steel, these are bucket elevators. They just move the seed. They defy gravity. They take it like this one here would be taking it out of the pit, taking it to the top of the building. Here you can see the top of it. So there's a floor auger that I talked about earlier, and when you put the seed in there, the auger takes it to the pit dumps it into this bucket elevator, which takes it to the top, and you can barely see the edge of it up here. There's a hopper that's a holding tank of dirty seed, if you will, that sends it into the seed cleaning machine back here. And then when it's done in there, there's another machine here called a carter. And we'll see some of these here in a bit in more detail as to kind of what they look like. And a carter is basically a series of discs with little pockmarks in it or indents in it. And that is mainly for the purpose of picking up weeds and that kind of thing. So this happens to be the arrangement that they have. I was up at the farm not that long ago, and I think they already have a different setup in there. Not entirely different, but it's just amazing how often they change what happens in here. I guess you can call it continuous improvement, a continual reach for efficiencies, and doing it the best way they can to get the best possible result for their product, that they're marketing. So this is a single bagger unit. This looks like a scale over here. That's the sewing machine by hand. So when it drops off of here, you would sew it by hand using this machine. Was pretty nice. I wish I have some video of all this, but I really don't. But there are some, like I know our accounting firm has a client that's a really large grass seed farm, several times the size of Lone Oak Farms, and they also have a beautiful cleaning facility. They've even removed even more hand labor out of the equation, and they have a bagging unit that is just untouched by human hands, to where the seed, it gets measures it sows it all automatically, maybe even stacks it on the pallet so nobody has to touch anything. It's really quite remarkable. But here, I mean, we still, apparently they still do it the old-fashioned way. Each one is measured by hand. Let me see what other picture. Yeah, this is moving in. This is moving further north. So there's the tunnel going underneath the bins. This now is the Sage seed cleaning machine, uh, kind of as described a little bit ago. And I believe back here in this corner, I didn't draw that on my diagram. I'll go back there just briefly. That would be sitting right kind of in this corner right here. They took a piece of this bin out just to make room for it. I don't think I've described this machine before, and I don't know if I have a good picture of it. It's called a debearder, and some of the seeds coming out of the field, unlike what would typically happen with some of the cereal grains, like wheat, those grains thresh pretty well, and they're all distinct grains of wheat, right? So, but coming in with grass, there's a lot of times that seeds of grass are stuck together in a bundle. And so those bundles come off of one of the screens in this age machine, and we always call them or refer to them as doubles. And so the doubles would feed into this machine over here. And I'm kind of wondering if the doubles come off of, I can't really tell from what's here. I don't think they come off of this elevator, but there's above this somewhere is another hopper. Maybe they drop in here, although I think this is probably related to dust management. But there's a hopper and it comes off a screen. Somehow they get it above this machine over here. It debeards it, and it looks like it drops it into the floor. I presume it comes into this pit, because usually what we would do with doubles is they would get all run back through the cleaning machine again and just completely rerun. So the debearder is also sometimes called a hammer mill. It has all these bits of steel in it, or at least the one we had in the old days did. It would force it through this rotating knives, if you will, that would just chop and beat at all those seeds, and until they were broken up and spread apart, and then we would re-clean them so that they could be individual seeds, in the bag. Um, just why that's critical, I imagine, if you are planting lawn somewhere or another grass field, you want to, for efficiency, to plant a single seed exactly where you want to plant it. You could drop a bundle of them, but then it's probably inefficient for growth. And where you may have nutrients available for a single seed, now you have a whole bundle to contend with, so it may leave blotches in the lawn. I'm kind of just speculating, but I think it's best to just be able to plant a single seed where you want it versus dropping a bundle. So I know the equipment always try to bust those up. Back. Oh, our fella's doing a fine job. Looks like he started over in this corner again. So good to have hired help that behaves. Back to the cleaner. Um, and this, I believe, is a hopper going into the carter. It's interesting trying to take pictures when you're in a tight room. There are so many pictures I would like to take. I don't think I even knew how to take a panoramic. Well, maybe I did. Maybe I tried it on some of these, and we'll just have to see. Yeah, they were doing some work in there at the time. There's a step ladder. This is another pit they put in here. When I worked up there, they didn't have this pit in here. It's always helpful to have something below the level of the machines. You have something like all these pipes are dropping things into. I think what these are is they're dropping trash off of the machine. And so all of these are feeding into a common bucket elevator. And you'll notice this one at least I can tell, it looks to be a little larger than some of these others, probably more volume of material. There's what would be scalped off the top with air. There's going to be dirt clods in there that come off stems of grass. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of material that tends to end up here, whatever the combine couldn't get out. So it's going to end up in here. This bucket elevator will take it up, and it's going to take it to a chute or an auger that takes it to the trash bunker outside of the building. In the old days, we had something similar, and it dropped it into a big box that we had here, and we would periodically take the box out and dump it in the screening trailer. Now that's handled all automatically. Like I say, they've made many improvements over the years as to how seed is handled in here. It's pretty cool. So there's that. You also have a pit over here. This is coming off the carter. So, I'm looking at the time. Maybe I'll just continue going through these pictures. There is so much that could be talked about in this type of thing. It's an area that just fascinates me. This on-farm processing to create clean seed. Maybe there's a better angle I can show. Oop, I think I'm going backwards. Okay, here now is a better picture, kind of the Sage seed cleaner itself. And really what you have going on here, here's the hopper up above. We kind of talked about that before. So seed is going to drop in here, the dirty seed. And then it's going to be slowly or in a measured way, it's going to be metered into the machine. Now, somewhere on this behemoth, there is uh, an electric motor, a big electric motor, because when this is in operation, what you'll see is this whole wood unit in here will be shaking back and forth, and so will this one down here, just back and forth. And so you'll notice like this at a tin work here that this chute is dropping into is extra wide because the machine just goes back and forth probably a couple inches. And the reason is because this is full of screens. Don't know how many are in here. There's probably at least 2 up here, at least 2 down here, maybe even as many as 6. I don't know if there's 3 up here, 3 down here. I think in the old days, a machine we had commonly had up to 6 screens in there to pull off various types of materials or corruption that you didn't want in the seed, or to pull off things that needed to be reworked, kind of like the doubles, that I was talking about a little bit ago. So, and these screens, I maybe should try to find a close-up of one of those. Maybe I have one here. Uh, no, this is looking up. Yeah, this is something else that is reworked coming down into here. I wonder if I show a, oh, that's a close-up of the pit. We'll just kind of go through it. We'll see if we can come across the screen. This is the floor auger that goes back to all those bins that seed can be dumped into and brought here. Back in the day, that was a tremendous labor-saving device. It still is, and then this carries it up to the dirty seed hopper up top. This is dust management. This was there back in the day also. When you got seed flowing every which way, it's a tremendous amount of dust that gets produced. I mean, shoot, you can see it on the ground all over here. It was really helpful to have air suction here to help handle some of that. And they put it right where it would be caused most of the time. So let me go back out to the field and, looking at the clock, trying to be respectful of time. I'm over my 30 minutes already, so I tell you what, we'll call the episode here. So want to thank everybody for watching and coming along for the ride to see a little bit more about Lone Oak Farms and some of the behind the scenes pictures. We'll call it here for now and take it up in another one. So have a wonderful day and goodbye for now.